Hello, my friends. Stormgate's campaign has been out for a while now, and I had time to think on it a little bit. So I figured that it would be a good time to talk about my playthrough and my thoughts and just everything about it, because it was a bit weird. I tried to do this at the end of the final episode, which you can find on the live tab, and it was very rough, so we're doing it here instead. And if you're wondering why I'm even gianter than normal, it's because I only have the recordings of this, so I'm currently eclipsing myself. Otherwise, it'd be weird, there'd be two of me. Anyway, we are going to go mission by mission and just talk about my thoughts and feelings. We're also going to look at stuff like this, such as the cutscenes, because they are big and important. Now, this opening cutscene I originally thought was pretty good. When it originally debuted, I was pretty happy with it. This version is about 30 seconds shorter than the original version. Still looks pretty good, still sets things up pretty decently. However, now that I think about it, I find it kind of lame. I'm just going to be skipping through stuff, by the way. I hope that's not too annoying. I do find it kind of lame that they were too cowardly to show Amara's dad being killed off. Because A, that makes it uncertain, and when you have mediocre writing, the uncertainty of a character's death is really terrifying because it usually doesn't it doesn't end well because they always come back. I really would have preferred if it was a little bit more, if it showed him being overwhelmed and killed instead of them just all ignoring him. But in the end, I don't think it was the worst thing ever. I don't remember if that scientist ever shows up again, but sure. Yeah, I would say overall this is one of the high points in the campaign. It's pretty decent. I don't think Wars looks good. That is one thing that I'm going to say. He looks super generic like mobile game. I honestly like the other demons better. Now after that, we jump into this cutscene. And I thought this one wasn't super bad either. Always a big fan of Saturn. Heck yes. The cutscenes here, they didn't really show characters, which I was really concerned because remember, the characters looked terrible before. And then they actually looked better. They looked way better than they used to. But I was really concerned because they just weren't showing faces. And then we get to see the death of Brazil. So sad. I don't know why they just didn't, like, Stormgate the west coast of the United States. I guess we're just not worth it. But they did hit San Francisco, so why? Oh, maybe it just has to be in the dark. You can't see the Stormgates during the day. It's just like city lights. Got it. That makes a lot of sense. I actually do like how this is kind of realistic in the way that things very slowly take off and move in space, because that is very realistic and true. Not like the most important thing in the world, but overall, I didn't dislike this either. There's a shot up here that I thought was really cool and they never did anything with the demon like coming behind it very, very subtly. I thought that was very cool. It didn't matter, but it was neat. And then we have this area. So we get our first jump onto the ship. There's lots and lots of voiceover stuff. We get to learn how to move the characters. I do think it is nice that they don't really tutorialize how to move or anything like that. Instead, they just give you this room to move about in and do stuff. I think that's really good overall. One thing that I think is weird is that there's always fog of war on your own ship. I don't hate the idea of having to explore it the first time to showcase everything, but like, it's weird. I don't know. It's kind of odd. It's your ship, but whatever. It doesn't matter so much. We get to Blockade. We have the first mission. We have to jump on down and grab the key from... We're zooming forward. Where are we? Iceland? Yeah, we're going to Iceland. Which... I've been playing Command & Conquer 3 recently, and Iceland came up in that game too. And I'm like, why? Why is Iceland in so many RTSs? Like, I understand that it's a good hub point between the US and Europe. Like, I have taken Iceland Air over to Europe before because it is a good place with a stopover. It's pretty cheap as a result. But this ship goes to space, like, for one mission, and it's treated as instantaneous. We don't need that hop over hub. Why is everything going on in Iceland? Humanity is far past the need for this, but apparently it's just what we're always doing. We are Reykjaviking. Anyway, this mission at the beginning is like weirdly hard. There's just a whole lot of guys. We get our stuff at the beginning here, which I think is reasonable. We have the exos. I think that the exos look really nice when they're the fire starters. I see why they use the fire starters because they have a much bigger model and they're very chunky and cool. Though it is weird that they're not exos, they're Vulcans. Sorry, excuse me. When it changes their name, sometimes it can be hard to remember the base one. And then we learn Amara is super broken. Anyway, this part's not that hard, but I've had a lot of people that I've talked to say that this part was crazy, crazy hard for them because if they weren't super careful, they just got completely overwhelmed. Even I was losing stuff here. And apparently if you lose a couple infantry units here, the mission is effectively impossible. You just get worn down and dead over time, which I think is really rough. Additionally, I feel like they should have been much smaller in their unit counts, simply so we could learn what the infernal stuff does, right? I don't know the infernals here. I am being introduced to this new world and these new factions, and I need to be told about the enemy as well. How are these small guys different than the other small guys that I saw? Do they do anything? I don't know, and I never will know. Of course, you don't have to teach everything about every unit right at the beginning, but you have to start the process. And going into the facility, the other thing I wanted to say is that I did have issues with the massive amounts of weather here, particularly with the really tiny enemies. I think it is better to have a very clean opening where it's easy to see because it's your first time playing the game. You add complexities like weather later, in my opinion. Now in here, I think things are really nice. It is dark, which is kind of annoying, but it's not the end of the world. It is much easier to see overall. And we got to move around with our dudes. And I actually, for one of the very few times, I figured out what the enemies were. If we jump over to this part, they were like howling and stuff. They were going crazy. And then they were jumping down on us. And I figured out that they have like an AoE buff howl. And this was good. I want more of this. I want to understand the enemies. I never recognized that they were sending these against me ever again. I never planned against these enemies ever again, which is a shame. But it was a start. It was a path in the decent direction because it was really, really consistent on what was going on. Now, if we move forward a little bit more, we get through that hall. We get to the backup power. I think we get the instant posts, which I think is decent. And then we get vision. This is the part that I really like, is the fact that we can now see. This is where I wanted to be the entire time. So we drop the posts, and then we put guys into the posts. And I don't remember if the game actually tells you can put people inside of these, or if it was just a thing that I had learned before. But I don't think they actually tutorialize that, and I think that is bad. In fact, I would probably wait. Oh, you know what? Maybe the issue is they don't have a guarantee that you have infantry here. That's a tough one. Because I do think you should tutorialize it, but also infantry, they could have all died off. We talked about that earlier. That's a very tough one, and probably like a couple reinforcements should join you, and then they should tutorialize the turrets that way. Just for this segment. I believe they tutorialize them later, but I think that, this is a lot of stuff. It's actually kind of crazy how much they hit you with. So, teaching the player about that, I think, would be good. And then comes the escape sequence. And I liked this. This guy, I believe, is optional. And he was very big, very imposing. And then we pulled back, and... Oh, he doesn't want to fight. Oh, he doesn't want to fight. Nope. Oh, he did a ground pound. Oh, nope. Okay, don't want to fight. Yep. Oh, we got a guy. Okay, going home. Like, are you serious? Come on. Come on. I got loot from it. I like that you get loot from it. I think that's really cool. Nice little reward. It's a good piece of equipment that I used for quite a long time. But like, are you serious? That's really bad. How was that not tested? I don't know what it was doing. I feel like it was like trying to get to Amara or something. But very, very sad and kind of a downer when I looked at it in retrospective. Now, Oh, look at him. His brother is here. You killed my brother. The only thing that can stop me is an elevator. Oh, darn. Good thing that we put Suyin on the elevator. And then we did mission number 1. And we get to go to the stash. I like the fact that they had gear in the stash already. I like the fact that it had story consequences to it. I like the fact that it wasn't game-breakingly good, but it was something worth having. All of this I actually think is really solid. I like the ship overall. I think it's pretty solid. We get to explore a little bit, and then we move on to mission number 2. Oh, no. What do we do? We talk to mission number Taggart. Yes, of course. Because then our friend Suyin wakes up, and she will be our engineer. Eventually. We talk to more people, we go to the new base, and we get our LZ. This is a very simple mission. Stop with the lightning, please. Like, just make it... make it less intense. It doesn't have to be this way. Everybody in every RTS with major lightning effects keeps complaining about it, and every dev, this isn't just a Stormgate thing, they just keep making it, and it's bad. Also, put someone near those barrels. I don't like the lightning effects, I really don't, and everyone else complains about them too. If it's late at night, for example, and you're watching or playing, it's awful. It is an unenjoyable experience. Did I not see that box? I might not. Yeah, you can see it's, when it originally appears, it's like super hard to see. Yeah, and then it kind of comes into view and starts glowing, but I got so distracted. Because I'm trying not to miss anything, so I missed things. It's okay, you end up with 400 trillion units anyway. Does this guy have loot? Oh yeah, this, yeah, he had loot. It felt good. And I think this was a good piece of tutorialization as well. Not in a way that actually, like, blatantly tells you things, but what they did was they made sure this was a person with a health bar. They were big and they were cool, so you pay attention to what comes from them more so than normal. And then you pick that up and you're like, oh, it's an aura, and auras can only be equipped one at a time. Now I know. You don't have to teach this thing ever again. Very cool. Very good. Now we go in here and we get our base, and it just keeps lightninging. We use the hero to interact with the console, and then it drops our thing. It's so lightningy. I really, really dislike that. I apologize. We're gonna do this. Now, the thing that I really don't like here is that they give you a rich mineral field and they don't tell you. It's weird. Like, you're getting 12 per trip, and they just kind of make it feel like that's normal. And I don't know why they did that. I don't like that at all. Because it's your first time ever building anything. And honestly, it should be slow and steady, right? The tutorial of a game should be willing to slow things down a little bit for teaching you how to do production. In my opinion. I don't mind. I would even prefer just having more starting money, if that's the way that they wanted to go about it, to let veteran players kind of jump more into it. I'm going to just speed through this mission. I don't want to look at the lightning anymore. We build up an army. We go around. The attack waves are very well highlighted. I cannot do this. I cannot do this. We're going to skip this way. The creep is creep. You go through it. You kill it. You kill a couple bases. There were some decent xenoflora blooms that were scattered about in moderately hidden places to actually find stuff, which I think was very good. And then you go through the third base and you win by destroying the thing. Overall, I think this was a very long first mission for building a lot of stuff. If you compare it to missions like Warcraft 3 or StarCraft 2 or Age of Mythology or Age of Empires or Tempest Rising, really anything, this one was a long slog in comparison for doing all this stuff, which I don't know how that is for new players, but I didn't mind it because it was not just one and done. Yeah, 1644 is pretty long as a pretty veteran RTS player going in and clearing through everything. Then we get Suyin, who is up and ready to do the laboratory stuff. Overall, I don't hate this laboratory system. The only thing I dislike is the fact that the credits are so fundamentally unavailable. you can only get like a quarter of the stuff, and all the coolest stuff is on the bottom, and those are the really expensive ones. And you can't switch, you can't test things. Actually, I don't like this system because of that. If you cannot test, you cannot switch, you cannot figure out what you want to do, you can't know what's coming earlier, you don't know what any of your stuff is, you're asked to make blind decisions, and you don't have any money to recoup those decisions. It is a very flawed system. It's not as flawed as the research lab, that is for sure. Because the research lab, I never got the final tier, and that sucks. Also, apparently the research lab is randomized, and that is also pretty lame. So it's like from a pool, I believe. I don't know the exact specifics, and I don't really mind. I don't care, because I'm probably not going to play this campaign again. Now, yeah, here's the research lab with Tara. I like this lab. It's got a lot of really random relics and stuff going on. It changes as time goes on with the various things you've done. I think that is great. Even more so than, for example, the lab in StarCraft 2 does. I think that's wonderful. I think Tara is a good character. She is she's probably the most personal character that you ever really get. Her and Riker are my two favorites. Yeah, so overall, except for the lab system, I really like the lab. I think that they do that quite well. And then we go over here and we start mission number 3, Ash and Bone, where we have to get our dude, Riker. Now, with Ash and Bone, we grab our units, we start building up, and this one is actually really fast once again. The time pressures are really hard. This is where I want to ask you guys in the comments, if you are a like non-RTS veteran, if you're someone who plays RTS casually and you jumped into this, how do you feel about the time pressures on missions like this? Because it was very, very aggressive. We have that base right over here with the big old Tonka truck, and then we have the place in the middle that's attacking it, and this base does not hold on for very long. I can set it back to this, can't I? Because we do not have lightning flashes anymore, thank goodness. I like that it is slower as we build up. This is kind of like the more realistic understanding of what is going on. I think that the turret dies on the first attack. Yeah, that's crazy. And I don't actually know if that is intentional or if it was just bad RNG, but there should never, ever be bad RNG if it was bad RNG in a mission like this on mission number 3 of all things. Another thing I want to say is that all the production buildings are very unimpressive in this game. I think the command post looks fine. It's pretty big and it's got like a smiley face right here, which I think is very nice. He's a very happy guy. This doesn't look like a barracks to me. I mean, look at this. It's like a child play palace. It's like something that you find at a McDonald's, because like it's for very short people. It's if you're more than 3'7", you cannot go through this door, and that is weird. It just doesn't feel big compared to production structures in basically every other game. So we build up a little bit. I had gone for the hoplites because they're very cool. We attack on in, and we have to use repairs on these turrets. Now, I kind of like this system. It's pretty interesting. I think the turrets themselves should probably be... No, I think that they're probably fine in power level. They're probably much stronger on lower difficulties. Not because they're statistically buffed, but because there's less enemies. So I think that overall, that's pretty good. I like the turrets. They're all in very interesting locations. They siege stuff, and you can get the pickups throughout the mission that allow you to heal them instantly, which I think is really nice. It allows you to not have to do the annoyingness with the workers. So we go over here, we get Riker, that gives us another base. I love that it gives us another base because that is an important piece of RTS gameplay, and it should be, even if it's not like explicitly taught at that point in time, it should be implicitly taught by giving players the option. And they had it mining already, I believe, which is also very good. So overall, I feel pretty positively about this mission as well. For the rest of it is an escort mission. I like the fact that there's a big flippin' gun on this escort. That is always nice to see. Now, it is a very silly looking truck, but it is also not bad. We do the protection thing. We fight over and over and over. And then, let's see. It's just more moving around, more repairing, and then I come over here and I find a base and I want to go kill it. And what happens is, oh, I'm not sure if it's gonna be okay. And then I decide to go for it anyway. And you know what happens? I die. Boom. And that's fine, because you know what? This game has a pretty good autosave system. It really does. It autosaves very often. It autosaves in good places. I like that. What sucks is that you can't pick your own saves. You can't do your own, and that's horrible. That is abysmally bad. But we'll get to that later. For right now, the fact that I was able to experiment to test my limits as a player to see how fast we clear through stuff. I didn't know how fast we clear through bases. That's something you have to test and learn. And I tested it, I learned it, and it was not enough at the time. And I'm completely fine with that. I think that's very good. So we go through this, we do all this, and then the part that I really like on this mission is now we have a bunch of vision and a bunch of towers everywhere. The escort does a really good job at moving us between all of these different towers so we can very easily get them all. The escort doesn't overstay its welcome, in my opinion. And then all the dudes come, the infinite dudes, and we are rewarded for having all these towers. Not only do we get to see everything, but we're playing tower defense. I just think that's good. It's just good design. I am very positive on this mission overall, besides the fact that I think that the timer for getting our boy is just not quite long enough. But I liked this, and it was fun. Boom. And we're done. Oh, yeah. I forgot about this. You know what? This part wasn't that necessary. I kind of wanted to be done at that point. I completely forgot about this. It does introduce Malok, but it doesn't introduce him really in an interesting way. He does do his big fire stuff, but he kind of just looks like a dunce, where he's just like sitting here not doing much, and it feels weird. You know what I mean? The original version of this game introduced Malok with a cutscene. And I think that's the right thing to do. And he's like running over to the side. Then he's like, oh, I got a path around here. Oops, sorry guys. I'm gonna attack. Oh. The fire thing is kind of imposing, except for the fact that it doesn't really do that much damage. And he is invulnerable, which feels kind of bad. I wish you could like reduce his HP and make him run back or something. That would be a much better way to do it, in my opinion. And then we get it right back, and Malok is like, I'm big, and I'm red, and I'm voiced by Chris Metzen. Rah! Yeah, perfect. So yeah, overall, I think I'm actually pretty positive about that mission. Overall, I had a good time with it. You get Riker. You think he's kind of a jerk at the beginning, which is the way you want to do it because he did evolve as a character. Very nice. It introduces Malok, even though it was not in a particularly interesting way. But it's the best that we're going to get, so I'm not going to complain too much. All right, I'm going to open up the video for missions number 4 and beyond, and then I'll see you in a sec. Corner now, perfect. Okay, so we jump in and we grab all of our upgrades. I kind of just pick generic stuff because I am kind of realizing I don't have money here, so I can't get anything spicy. I just have to go get like medic stuff. And I think that's one of the big problems with the not having money type thing. And we go talk to Tara, and this is the dumbest thing. It's so dumb. Here's your new upgrade panel. Look at me, look at me, look at me. This is how I feel right now. Are you serious? Is that how we're doing this? I was not a happy camper. I was not a happy camper. How dare you? Give me a new upgrade thing and tell me that I have to go die in a fire because I can't get anything. That sucks. And then they have the audacity to be like, this is some good work. You can't even see what you're not getting. It's lame. Then we meet Cruella DeVille, who I do like the design of. I think she is one of the most interestingly designed characters in this game. Obviously evil. They did not veil that particularly well with the Admiral. And then we go to Grim Company, which mission is this? Oh yeah, this mission was very forgettable for me. Gonna be completely honest. So we go up here, we get a base, we have a lot of money, and then what ends up happening is we have to just destroy 5 bases. We just keep going and attacking through stuff, and then they have these big old desolator things that are like, I'm a desolating. I don't remember if that's actually what it's called. But, yeah. It's fine. It just shoots random areas that don't matter for the most part. It's not an imposing or interesting mechanic. It's like, oh no, my grass field has been destroyed. We also repaired a cannon for our top bar. And I thought that the cannon was like going to be part of our kit or something. But it just wasn't. It's just not. It's just not for the rest of the campaign. It's just like this random cannon we have once. I feel like this campaign has a lot of one-off mechanics, and it's very hard to remember them all. Oh, another thing I don't like, these pickups for money and stuff. You can't, even though they get used instantly, why can you not pick them up if you have a full inventory? They get used instantly, come on. It worked in Warcraft 3. In Warcraft 3, if there was a gold pickup, and you had a full inventory, it just worked. Why is that not the case here? At this point, I am having a bit of a hard time actually identifying what units I have. That is a common theme throughout Stormgate. All of this looks effectively the same to me when it's in a giant blob. There is no differentiation. The highlights are pretty much the same. You can't tell me how much of what I have in this game. And I can't tell me either. And I think that sucks. Additionally, the enemy unit types are so many that I have no idea, once again, what any of these stuff does. I don't like look at an enemy base and be like, oh, they got the Magma Man. We have to stop the Magma Man with this. Because I don't know what a Magma Man is. I don't know what it does. The game is not interested in teaching me, and there's no negative for not knowing. Because the heroes are insanely powerful. They'll AoE everything down anyway. And if they don't, our giant death blob will deal with it somehow. It's fine. There, I was testing the desolation zones to see if they actually do anything. Turns out they don't. And then we went over, we destroy the 5th outpost. I do like the fact that this mission is open-ended. It just lets you kind of play in whatever order you want for the most part. I think that's... Is that an animation breaking? Perfect. I like the way that it lets you take things at your own pace and do them in your own order. I think that's very important in the early mid stages of a campaign to allow people to get their feeling. And this is the first time we had a mech unit too. I like the fact that they have a factory unit that only costs luminite instead of all costing gas. And it hits air and stuff. It's actually just like it's more like a marine. I remember I was doing that for science. I was like going to take him out and I'm like, oh, I wonder how much damage it does. You gotta learn. Yeah, that went out well. The hedgehog is kind of like a marine that requires extra babysitting. And that is one thing that I also find very difficult is I think that if you are doing a hero-based game, which this is in the campaign, units that require babysitting need to have a big, big impact. Otherwise, their abilities will never be used. For the most part, they should be autocast if they're not truly, truly important with what they're doing. And the hedgehog's siege ability to hit air just doesn't quite feel like it's that. It's so many, particularly with the very high kill speed in this game. You identify you want to do something, and then you go, okay, Amara, use your abilities, Riker, use your abilities, and then next guy, tab over. Is the air unit still here? No, it's already dead. I guess we're done. That's how most fights go. So how do you do it? Because it's never as important as using the hero abilities. Then we come over here and we destroy the monolith and we win the mission. Easy peasy. That was a kind of boring mission, but I didn't think it was bad because it was open-ended, and open-ended boring missions are actually kind of fun. Just because they let you play RTS without any contrived stuff to it. Now, I thought this point right here was going to be Riker basically not trusting anyone in the fleet besides Amara, and then that was going to cause something. It turns out that he just has a crush on her. So they're going to talk. And then we unlock our first thing, and apparently all of these are randomized. They're like, whatever you get is different every single time, which means, I don't really like that. It means that you cannot design your campaign around various upgrades being interesting and unique and powerful at different points in time. They have to be generic and boring. They don't even have to be. That's just how they are. They're just generic and boring. I think I want an upgrade that's like, your hedgehog now shoots air normally. And that's it. It's just like, this is my hedgehog upgrade. If it's going to be truly random and you have two other options that can be good, make the third slot a wild card every time. Why not? It'd be cool. You know, it would be cool. Make it so like the dog gets another head and it's a Cerberus and it attacks twice. I don't care. It's a robot dog. Everyone keeps saying it's a robot dog. So do that. Just ridiculous for the third tier if that's how you're going to do it. Because these upgrades are not interesting for the most part. They're just power. And they're really expensive power. Moving on to the temple mission. This mission, I did not understand what I was supposed to do. As a result, I found it incredibly boring and I was zoning out. Because I built up, I cleared these guys, I built up, and I thought that the fact that it gives you as much time as you want to defend a temple, or rather before you start the temple event, meant that you should take as much time as you need before the temple event. And then when I went up, it was pretty boring. And it goes on for a really long time where nothing attacks. I mean, things are attacking, but this is effectively nothing. Also, as I said, these Vulcans are way too small. The best upgrade in the game is the fire starter upgrade that makes them the flamethrower. Because it makes them actually interesting and imposing. Why are they so tiny? Is that a person in there? Is that just like, do they put babies inside of the Vulcan? Is that who's piloting it? Because that's the only people that's going to fit inside of a cockpit that size. Why is it so small? It's lame. It really is. So then, oh gosh, it's still going. It's still going. It's still going. Yeah, it even turns to night in game because it takes so long. And it was boring. I have 6K, 3K in the bank. We learn about Metatron, the celestial guy who only shows up twice and has no personality. And then I see these things and I just go. And I'm like, all right, it's time to do it because I'm bored. Let's go kill something. It's finally my time to act. And then I realize, oh, hey, Amara died. Because I was glancing at the minimap, but the ramp is a little bit red and the people are red. It's not that hard to see, but I was just so excited to do something after like 15 minutes of boredom. So I had to reload. And then I had to reload a different save because the other one kills me instantly when I load it in. That's not the greatest autosave, but that's just unfortunate timing. I killed the objective at the same time. There's no way to like detect that. So I left a couple things around. Then I got to this objective that you just can't do for a really long time. Like I'm sitting here. And how long are we sitting here for this? Let's just check the timestamp from when we discover it. We discover it at 54:51. And then when can we attack it? I think we probably get the ability to attack it at the end of this voice line. Yeah, there we go. That is 55:36. It was almost a full minute between discovering those rocks and being able to attack them, to collapse them. That is insane. Just why? Would it have been too powerful otherwise? Because it's just rocks. They attack through the rocks. Anyway, these are the Celestials. It's Metatron. They're sending the angels around. The angels are not attacking the Infernals, which is silly. Like, they should be attacking the moment that they see them, particularly because the Infernals attack Metatron. I don't know. The whole thing is very weird. I guess they're just on a move command. But we take everything down. We realize, oh, they're attacking over there. okay, I'm gonna go this way. I found a hell fire barrel and I put that in my inventory forever. I go this way instead, shoot this down. Go this way instead, shoot this down. I didn't like this mission. I thought it was very boring. I think that it was unclear because it obviously wants you to build up. I have 13.6k, 6.6k in the bank at the end of this because as long as you just keep a bunch of people camping Amara, the mission is impossible to lose. Oh, I forgot about Malok. Hey! I cannot believe that I've forgotten about Malok attacking twice. Which actually, now that I think about it, says a lot of things, doesn't it? Specifically, it says that Malok is not that imposing. Or, like, truly. Yeah, I just didn't think about him that much. I completely forgot that he showed up here. Yeah, he just does this, and I'm like, okay. Cool. Who are you again? Nice, you totally killed that ant. Oh, baby, a double! He's doing it! He got another one! Yeah, I don't know, man. The invulnerable boss enemies who are also incredibly boring? Not my vibe. Not my vibe at all. I wonder if he's actually invulnerable. He might just have a lot of HP. I just didn't bother because I was taught last time he was invulnerable. He may have been killable, and I just sat in the thing because I didn't even care. It didn't matter. I was really checked out for that mission. I did not enjoy it. Then we talked to people. One thing I'm going to say is that I did not do the green optional dialogue, which I know does have extra character stuff. Apparently it has Taggart like falling in love with Amara and confessing to her, which might be part of the reason that he went insane. And I'm like, all right, if it's going to be a romance of this caliber, I'm not that interested, going to be completely honest. Then we go to Trader's Bay. And we have Riker, we do the stealth stuff, and I do the stealth stuff poorly because I'm testing the limits. And then I'm like, okay, we have to go actually win. So we jump in here and we infiltrate, and the infiltration part's actually pretty smooth. I like taking the turrets and killing everybody in there. I think that's really fun. And this is the only time in the entire campaign, I think, unless we remember, no, there's one mission later against a rogue AI. This is one mission out of 12. So 2 missions total out of 12 that we do not fight the... No, actually, that we fight the Vanguard. We fight the Infernals on 11 out of 12 missions, don't we? Yeah, it's a very Infernal heavy thing because the Celestials are never a true opponent on their own. They're always just this superfluous thing. They haven't really been introduced still. And we fight the Vanguard here and then once on the AI mission. Overall, I like the ideas on this mission. This is rebuilt up from one of the original campaign missions, and it was okay the first time, and it's better this time. The infiltrating to steal the stuff is, I think it's fun every time because it's just a little bit different. I like finding these guys in the prisons, and then they fight because it's always fun to have AI attack waves to work with you. They're not great. They're also not terrible. The fact that they're all backline ranged people means that if you keep them alive, you keep them alive. And they just do good stuff. So overall, I would say this part of the mission is pretty solid. Once again, did not hate it by any means. And then we get to the boss fight. This boss fight was boring, dude. Like, there just wasn't a whole lot going on. He just kind of punches things. And then he jumps up here and... I don't know if he's like supposed to be invulnerable up here and it didn't work or something, but it feels like he's supposed to be. It feels like it's supposed to be an ad fight or something now. You know, like the second boss in Metal Gear Rising Revengeance where he jumps up and then he spawns all the little dudes and then you got to steal their electrolytes. Yeah. But that's not how it works here. So we just shoot him. It's not a good boss fight. All the boss fights in this game are not good. Which is a darn shame. Boss fights in RTS are really hard. Particularly if you... apparently all the loot in this game is random, by the way. Which means they have no control over what research you're going to have or what loot you're going to have. How do you design a balanced experience around that? You don't. The heroes are OP. They're ridiculously OP. And that's just how it is. Which I'm not a big fan of. Oh, we became small again. All right, I got episode number 3 number loaded up. I got this mission loaded up. Welcome to the only hard mission in this campaign, and also the one where Amara's scarf goes crazy. So this mission was interesting. I liked the fact that we breached into the facility, we ran around, we blasted a bunch of stuff, and then we did this thing, took down the anti-air defenses, and then loaded everyone in, stole the drone tower and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, overall I think it was pretty okay. I didn't hate it. And then we have to do the bombing runs, which teaches us how to use the bombs for later with the helicarrier, which isn't like an important thing to teach, being completely honest, but it was fine. I don't hate that reuse or pre-use of mechanics, I guess. We take everything down, and then we use the infiltrators to steal a base, and then we use that base to build up. The enemy attacks with some pretty scary waves, and we have to be real spread out everywhere, and the infernals start hitting. I think it's an interesting mission. I think it's pretty good. I did not play it as well as I could have. I really wanted to use the anti-air fighter as much as I could have. And I think that the fighter is a unit that you probably want to use a few of and to have it support your main army. But, you know, if I got a new unit, I want to try the new unit. So I did. I like the fact that, or the best part in this mission, in my opinion, is the fact that you go over to this area and then you get this giant gun and you get to pick where you place it. And I think that's amazingly cool. That's so nice. Also, the dropships are pretty fluid in this game. They're not that hard to use. I think it's pretty cool. So you put the gun in the place you want, you put static defense in the other place that you want. One thing that I did realize here is that putting guys inside of your static defense is so much micromanagement in this game. And it's just, when you're being attacked from like 6 different sides, I just don't want to do it. It's not interesting. You know, like if I could batch upgrade them into a certain type or something, or even just like, I don't know, make it easier. But if I have to click them one at a time and think about every single one, particularly because at a glance, let me get this. At a glance, you want to have your supply depots and your turrets really close to each other, because you can upgrade the depots to do stuff and you can upgrade the turrets to do stuff. But at a glance, these look very similar in a way that I think is really hard to differentiate, and I don't like it. Because then it's like, wait, this is a depot? No, this isn't a depot. This is the depot. This is the depot. I got to put these guys inside of the turrets over here, not over here. I have to go upgrade this into this. I don't upgrade these. Instead, I have to think what I'm putting. And it's just, one of the things about StarCraft 2 is you put stuff in a bunker and you did the right thing. Almost always. It's just you throw the guys in a bunker and it works. But this is, because it's individual, it's a lot of micromanagement. And I felt the same way in Red Alert 3, which uses the same mechanic. I don't hate it, but I do think that when the going gets tough, things like that are just not interesting to me. I just don't want to do it. I want to be focusing on the important parts of the mission instead. So we go over here, we get lost and adventure a little bit. There's infernal attack waves and the AI attack waves coming at the same time. The enemy does huge AoE damage with their fighters and flak turrets, which is interesting for this mission because it is very easy if you stack all of your guys to lose them, which I think did happen to me at one point. It wasn't the end of the world, because there's a ton of money on this mission to make sure that you can recover. And then, oh, sorry, I wanted to see the boss fight. Yeah, so all my guys were almost dead. I was actually pretty concerned going into this boss fight, and then the boss proceeded to not do anything once again. Like, I can't tell what this guy is doing. I think he might just have an auto attack. A couple guys came out onto the side and they just exploded. Perfect. Yep. Then we get the fleet of helicarriers, and they'd be oh so useful, wouldn't they? Except for the fact that the Admiral steals them because everybody knew she was evil. Riker's cloaked during the conversation. Amara's scarf is going crazy. And we are moving on to mission number, I don't even know which one we're on. We talk to more people. There's more Arculus stuff. At this point, we're realizing that the writing is just not quite there. I think that this is when, no. We haven't moved past the public stuff yet, because the public stuff is when it gets bad. This mission was another one that just made me so bored. So you go around, you clear stuff up, and then I had gotten the defense upgrades because they made it clear it was going to be a defense mission. And the defense upgrades that I had randomed into, apparently, were just so OP. They were insane. So I just kind of sat here, and I was invulnerable. This is the time that I actually started putting people in the turrets and stuff, if you noticed. Because I had the extra time because nothing was going on, and I think that's good for a defensive mission, honestly. Like, this is the time that you should be caring about that stuff, because this is when you gotta really focus on defense. We get the Atlas, which is a really good siege tank. And then we wait, and we wait, and we wait, and we wait, and we wait. I just keep building more turrets, because the turrets don't cost supply, and they shoot on their own, and they're pretty good. Mara can solo all the bonus objectives, because at this point she is so egregiously overpowered that she is effectively half of your army's damage. You can keep everything at home, and then have her go out, and it is fine. I even try to go solo Megatron with her for a moment. And then I decide, by decide, I mean, I die. I die side. Yeah, we got wrecked there, but it's fine because Amara respawns for free. And then I'm like, okay, let's go kill this guy. And it turns out he's invulnerable, which, that sucks. I think it'd be cool if there was a little bonus thing. I liked that first boss, if you remember in the first thing, where you could actually kill him and you got loot for it. You were rewarded. And then they don't do that again. Then I'm still really bored. So I go over here, and Malok is like wiggling for a little bit. Look at him. He's like, oh yeah, look at that. Oh yeah. And then, I don't know, he's exploding. I think that was a top bar ability I used. And then I'm like, oh wow, the enemy is so strong. Look at this fire. Look at this Malok fire. It's just, oh, look at my micro. I'm dodging it so well. Wow, it is just impeccably strong, isn't it? This Malok character truly is undefeatable. Unfortunately, the truth is that Malok is in fact undefeatable, so we did not defeat him here. Instead, we just, I think we died, or we teleported home. I don't remember which. Did I remember I have Town Portal, or did I not have the energy? Yeah, I don't have the energy for it, because he has an autocast heal, so he uses all of his energy all the time. Yeah, he has an autocast heal and an autocast spin, and so you have to turn both of those off autocast if you want to use this Town Portal, which is a very funny design. Oh yeah, the AI broke on the right side too doing attacks, which is just like, all I did was make a full wall. I didn't do anything weird there. Legitimately, that is like the first thing you should test. How does making a full wall at your base break the AI that badly? That's just not QA'd. That's horrible. Did no one else have the idea of walling on a defense mission? Maybe. Either way, that was one that kind of made me sad. Oh, and then we had this cutscene. And I was so excited for this cutscene because I was like, oh, maybe this is the time. Maybe this is the time we're going to start getting character development from Malok and Wars. Malok doesn't even have a face. It looks like he's made out of plastic, and Wars is made out of the stars. Yeah, it didn't really go anywhere. I just don't care about these characters, unfortunately. I really wish I did. Genuinely, I wish that I did. But I don't. And I never will because they're dead. Anyway, I'm going to load up the next video. So for the remainder of this, I'm going to go kind of quick because this video is starting to drag on and it is kind of repetitive. I don't want to repeat the same things over and over again. This was a mission, lightning mission. You know what? We're going to just poke through and hope we don't get lightninged. Stop with the lightning, please. Hello? So this is the mission where there's a bunch of civilians that we have to go grab. We do grab the civilians. I learn about the dude that has the... I learned that those enemies that don't have an attack are Scourge, and apparently their Scourge ability is an ability, which I just hadn't learned before. And this mission actually is a very good showcase of something that I think is very problematic with the hero-based design. Particularly the insanely overpowered hero-based design. Because if you haven't played this campaign, Amara, Riker, and Blockade... Actually, I would say Amara and Riker, not quite Blockade. He's not as good as the others. they are both about as strong as Kerrigan is, and a lot of the time, you have both of them. You're effectively running around with 2 Kerrigans. That is so powerful. That is unreasonably powerful. So, yeah, like, the rest of your army doesn't really matter. In this mission, I got a sport spellcaster, and I just didn't use it. I didn't use it because I'm like, what is the point? Oh, Lombard Street, yeah, look at it. Whoa, I love Lombard. All right, yeah. So we get all the dudes. They have that Desolator thing that's going around really slowly, which was one of those things that almost makes sense, except for the fact that we learned earlier that monoliths can do this same thing from a much longer range. So why were they not using monoliths instead? Well, because the plot demanded it. Because having another giant rock doing it wouldn't be as interesting or cool as the orb. And you know what? They're right. They're right. It should probably be a Desolator that does it the first time, right? Right? Anyway, we go over there, we steal the relic, we just evacuate a bunch of civilians, we make a giant death army. I think that I try to do the thing, and then this is where I get very confused. For some reason, they decide that they're going to spawn all 3 of these at the same time and have them all get attacked by enemies at the same time, and it was a little bit, it took a couple reloads to figure out what was happening in 3 places at once. And it just felt like a lot. It wasn't actually hard. All you have to do is know beforehand where you have to go. But you do kind of have to know beforehand where you're going to go, otherwise the right-hand side is going to die. Just straight up. So I had to reload twice, that's fine. And then I think I try to fight the Desolator. I don't even remember. I always try to fight, and I always get disappointed. Oh no, yeah. Someone posted in the YouTube comments, I believe their post was Rule 33 of the internet. If a girl exists, there's a Draken laser drill version of her. So we have Draken laser drill Amara, just like Kerrigan. That was my favorite comment from the entire series. That made my day. It was so good and so funny. I'm sorry I'm jumping through this one so sporadically, but I don't want to look at the lightning. Anyway, we don't actually get to fight the fight. Wars is useless. His orb is destroyed. It's not very good. And we go into the next mission, which I find to be incredibly disappointing. First of all, this mission from like a lore perspective is very annoying. We leave the Arculus outside, despite the fact that it provides covering fire. Well, actually, this whole point is actually a really good indication of Stormgate's storytelling issues. And that is right here. So what happens is it says, this is what the Arculus is picking up, blah, 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 blah. Maybe I was supposed to get the information from before. Okay, the information is before, I believe. Yeah, they talk here about the entire Vanguard fleet is converging on a rock and what Dr. Fletcher has identified, blah, blah, blah. So basically, this is everybody coming for the last stand. And the last stand, the greatest of the Vanguard, are these guys. Well, obviously not. Obviously, people are fighting in many different locations. Blockade says that he cannot come with you because he's fighting in different locations. So do you know what you do? You start this mission with your little ship over here. It's flying over. Not over here exactly, but like way over to the right, like a mile. And you're following the ship, and while it's doing that, there's a bunch of Vanguard on the ground who are fighting against the Infernals, various positions and all that kind of thing. And then, as you get on over here, you see the Arculus, and Blockade is here, and there's a bunch of dead demons around. And then these people land, and they're like, oh, this is the gate. And Blockade comes up, and he says his stuff. He's like, I need to make sure that I'm keeping these guys up on the outside. And there's like people fighting over here too. You build the scenery. You don't tell me. You show me that this is everything. This is big Vanguard energy. But they just don't take the time to do that. They never take the time to do that. Instead, they give you a few words, and they say, use your imagination. We're going to hell. And then hell's really disappointing. This mission, I think, has a lot of potential, but it really goes back to the fact that the heroes are OP. They're unfun in how OP they are. Like, this is the big bad boss boy. Boom. Like, first of all, it's very confused. The AI on big enemies is just bad in this game. It just, like, never properly hits things. And then... oh, it's gone. If Riker couldn't have soloed it, Amara could have soloed it. And if Amara couldn't have soloed it, she could have ran away and the Draken Laser Drill could have soloed it. And then, past all of that, the army still would have been able to kill it because they're strong enough. So it's like redundancy over redundancy over redundancy on what is supposed to be these big, titanic death machines. And it's just disappointing. It takes an idea that should be very cool and makes it very uncool. And what you could say is, hey Grant, maybe the gear that you got was just way too good, you know? You got really lucky with your blue drops. It wasn't even purples. Just like the average stuff that you got. But like, is that true? I think a lot of it is just inside of Riker's kit, for example. He does a lot of single target damage. Amara's kit, additionally, her ultimate does a huge amount of damage. So we go over here, we deal with the attacks. There are a lot of attacks, but they just don't matter because you don't even need that big of an army with you for the most part. You just need to, have, this is a pretty big army actually. I probably could have left some stuff at home. But we're just bulldozing our way through. We take down these bonus objectives and then I get so bored because the final bonus hasn't spawned that I'm just like, whatever, I'm going to go win. Even though the bonus objective apparently gives you money, it's not very much. I think it's $20, which is pathetic. Here's your lunch money, kid. You destroyed the Eldritch Vortexes. Get yourself some pastrami. Like, really? $20? Thanks, Grandma. I won't spend it all in one place. Either way, oh, here comes the Malok fight. Does he do anything different than he's done every other time? Does he have any new abilities? Yeah, he has the ability to die really fast. And then change color. Did he have blue shoulders on before? No, he didn't. Why did his shoulders become blue? Wait, did he join my team? Why is he blue? Where are the blue characters? He was red, right? He joined our team. What is he doing? Oh. Okay, this is the part that I wanted to talk about. So we get the key, and it's like, oh, we secured the key. And then what we learn here is that the Arculus is gone. Now, go back to what I was talking about in the setup of this mission. Remember? Where our boy Blockade is like, if he was there holding everything off and all the good stuff was happening. Now, imagine that was the setup and the Arculus was there. And throughout the mission, as you were clearing through things, you get some talks from Blockade about how resistance is really tough or they're coming in with big waves, but he almost seems very okay with it. You know, he's like, he feels confident. He's like, okay. But then you just have him stop responding halfway through. You don't even like make it go, oh no, this is bad. You instead just have it so that through the second half of the mission, he doesn't say anything because like they've been wiped out and they need to focus on other stuff and they're retreating and maybe commute comms were lost. And then you get this reveal where Blockade is, he like comes back in and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. We lost comms with you. We had to pull back and they got the arc, something like that. Something that it's almost like a payoff for what you saw earlier. You saw how hard they were fighting to build this breach so that you could get in and kill Malok, but they weren't able to sustain it the entire time. And then you finish the mission and you go, oh crap, they weren't talking for that second half. I should have noticed that. That's kind of cool. But of course they didn't do that. They didn't do that at all because everything is the first draft. That's really it. Everything is the first draft in this game, which is unfortunate. I think if they had more time to go over the drafts, then they really could have refined stuff like that and made it really nice. But this is a very rushed campaign overall, and that's a shame. All right, one more. And by one more, I meant one more video, not one more mission. Oh, by the way, if you weren't here for the stream, we did notice, or I did notice, this... This is an AI-generated Golden Gate Bridge. This is not what the suspension looks like. It goes up and then it goes down. It doesn't go down and then down. Oh, we caught them in 4K, buddy. Caught them in 4K. Actually, no, I was live streaming this, so I think it was 1080p. Ooh. All right, so we get to the end, and then the Admiral is pulling everybody back because we had a very slight inconvenience, and it's impossible for us to ever win Earth back, despite the fact that we just killed Malok, who may or may not be important to the Infernals, but we actually have no idea because the game never tells us. I sure wish they did. But whatever, I guess we don't get to know. Then we get... we realize... This is the point where I realized I legitimately cannot get the last tier of research. And then I did the math. And if you want to get this last tier of research, you basically can only get 1 unit upgraded throughout the campaign. What? What? Who picked that as the decision? Now, their justification for it is that, well, what you can do, of course, is if you play again, you get to keep your progress and do it again. But I already beat the campaign on the highest difficulty. If I retain all of my upgrades... You're asking me to play through the campaign again, but easier. That's appealing to some people, but for the most part, I want new experiences. Not the same experience, but then reduced down 1 difficulty tier. That's weird. Like, if I wanted to play on hard, I would just play on hard. Either way, we go here, we... have the mission, and then we start what is the least fun mission in this campaign. The big defensive temple mission I thought was boring and I checked out, but this mission fundamentally doesn't make sense from a fun perspective. And they're supposed to be fun. I said fundamentally. So if I'm going to explain a little bit more on this one because it was on the live stream and not everybody caught that. Once again, you can always click on the live tab in order to see it. But the entire place is covered in radiation, and you have to use these timed life drones that can be attacked by the enemy in order to provide safety fields to run around in. This isn't a terrible idea on its own. The problem is that A, the drones have a timed life, B, they regenerate very slowly based on your command center's energy, and C, the mission is made of a ton of various winding corridors like this that you want to go and explore and salvage for loot. And it's not fun because you just have to wait for them all the time. You're just, the limiter in this campaign, or rather in this mission, is not your ability as a player. It's not your resource numbers. It's not how long it takes for your stuff to move from one base to another. It is simply just waiting on the recharge timer of these drones. And the mission is long. I think it's the longest mission in the campaign. Because we go over here and we daisy chain the drones together, and then this base mines out. We have a very special version that we can move around of our command center. So we do that. We realize, oh, the command center is moving, which means we cannot deploy more drones, so we just have to sit here and hope the others don't expire as we wait for the command center to get to us. Then we realize, oh, the radiation actually destroys buildings that are upgrading. Sure. I mean, it kind of makes sense. Radiation does damage electronics. However, whatever. So beyond that. Oh, the drone timed life duration drone expired because we're moving our really slow command center back. So we have to go huddle. And then we just kind of walk. And oh, there's an area up here that we could explore, except for the fact that we can't get our command center in. So we have to go, and then we have to like set it down. No, we don't set it down. I just send the guys in and kind of half-heartedly explore it. It is a huge winding mission that really wants you to explore to salvage for resources. And then it doesn't give you the ability to explore. It makes exploring the least fun it is ever in this campaign. And that's a shame. So we go over here. We kill stuff. We slowly ratchet our stuff. We start fighting this base. And then I believe right here, I'm fighting the base. And then I'm like, oh, I have one more drone. And if I use it and I lose it, then I'm going to be stranded. Also, we're out of money. So I guess we're not going to go fight the base that I just cleared the army of. It's sitting there, useless, and I have a million siege weapons. But whatever, I guess that's just not who we are today. I don't like this mission. I think it's actively bad. They do have dragons. I don't know what the dragons do, once again. They fly and they attack. I wonder if they have an ability. So we go to the last salvage site, we go do the salvage stuff, we actually get to attack through a base, and then we get to the radium mass tower, and then in true, like, MMO RPG boss fight fashion, we have to go up here, get the codes. No, it's more like actually regular RPG. It's like Mass Effect or something, where, except Mass Effect doesn't do this, do they? But we have to go over here, they're doing the transmission, and then it's, oh no, they're blocking the signal, and they literally say, I didn't know they could do that. Because it's this new ability that they've never had, and we have to like start making our way over here, and Amara's just patiently waiting for the silly little drones to get over, because she could just walk over, but no, she's not allowed to. I don't hate the idea of a salvage mission. In fact, I like the idea of a salvage mission, one that you're really strapped for resources, doing your best. But it has to be exploration first. You have to be rewarded so much for exploring, and you should not be punished for exploring. And this does, it does reward you well for the exploration, but it does punish you way more. And then, of course, the benefit is that Amara can actually deal with the interruption things on her own. So that's a good part. Then they start doing the transmission again. They keep attacking us. And then, oh no, they're doing another one. If only I had the answer. And so we press one button, and then we press another button, and it's over. You don't need your army. I'm pretty sure this campaign is doable heroes only on Brutal with a good build and a player who wants to sit there and route it out. I sure don't. Yeah, it's interesting to see now in real time how my opinions on this campaign were actually pretty solid at the beginning, and then it just gets negativer and negativer as time goes on. 32-minute mission. It wasn't even that long. 32 minutes isn't that long overall for an RTS mission. As I've said before, I've been playing Command & Conquer recently, and those missions can get longer than that easily. But I'm having more fun with them. I'm not being... This is a heart. This is a heart, is what my chat was telling me, but I thought it was something else. But it's a heart. Can't you see? Ignore this part. It's a heart, apparently. That's what it's supposed to be, because Taggart is in love with Amara. And he's a murderer. Anyway. Wait, is that Slogo? No, it's Cordell. Okay. Who's Slogo? Anyway, we'll get there in a moment. So we get to the final mission. And in the final mission, we talkade to blockade, and then it's like, oh, we gotta do stuff. And Amara gives her final speech, and then Riker's like, oh my goodness, you talk so good, lady. I wanna be your boyfriend. And she's like, oh, interesting. And then we talk to Tara, and she's like, Tara. And then we talk to, I don't even remember what Suyin says. She talks twice in this campaign. And then we talked to Blockade, who I thought was going to confess to her too, and I thought we were going to get a shoujo harem. And honestly, maybe it would have been better if we did. If there was the audacity to have Riker and Taggart and Blockade all in love with Amara for no reason, it would be so funny. It would be hilarious. But we didn't get that. Only 2 out of 3. Anyway, final mission. And the final mission is really just a big macro thing for the most part. We go over here, we destroy a base, you kind of get to do whatever you want. We're right in the middle of everything, which is cool. I like having the rich base here. I think that's actually pretty nice. The fact that there's a huge, what's that resource called? Thorium? Therium. A huge therium vein over here is pretty nice. lots of various items to discover. I haven't really cared about items for a long time because you get a lot of them and the inventory management is a pain in the butt. There's like these bosses that I don't even notice exist before we accidentally kill them. We do get some decent stuff though. And then the weirdest thing happens, which is, hey, the mission expands out and then there's this wall. And then who comes to save us? Can we turn the sound on for this? Slogo! Who's Slogo? I don't remember who's Slogo. Yeah, he doesn't even look the same as everyone else. Like, look at him. We got this guy. I mean, it's AI animated. And it doesn't look good. But then this guy, he looks like he's from some 1990s game. Why is he a completely different art style? So we did some digging, and Slogo is apparently the name of a fan of the game who passed away, I believe. And I am all for putting tiny little mementos towards people like that. I think that's actually very cool. Why did he get written in as the person that saves the day on the final mission? That's weird. That's really weird. At least make him look that you can tell that he was just made probably by a different artist because it's Slogo. This is not what any of the other characters look like. This is not this, or this. This is, as I said, like some 1990s RPG character in terms of the art style. And that's just odd. And then he has to do this weird thing and come up here. And I was like, oh, I'm not entirely sure where I'm supposed to go. Oh, well, I guess I'll just shoot these guys from here. It turns out there was a ramp, and I find the ramp later, but then I realize I don't care about the ramp because I can just shoot these guys from down here because they didn't test it. Yeah, I go up here and I'm like, oh, this is the way. Oh, no, too many bees. And then I just leave because it's just way easier to shoot the guys from down here, even though it's the wrong thing you're not supposed to do. But whatever. Then we have a giant death army and we kill a bunch of bases and we kill a bunch of bases and we kill a bunch of bases and we kill a bunch of bases. And then we prepare for the final showdown. Oh, there's a cutscene and we're done. And then lots of dudes come from the gate. I'm not done. It's so bad, man. It's so bad. They got the feedback. They've known from Heart of the Swarm. They have known for 12 years that having a giant laser beam solve your problems in RTS is not what people want. The Nerude thing with the laser beam has been the point that people point to when StarCraft 2 jumped the shark for over a decade. And then they did it again. And they didn't do it any better. And then Amara's like, we're going to take the fight to them with our one ship. Oh, boys. I don't know what you're planning on doing. So yeah, that was my thought on Stormgate. That was mostly on the campaign missions. As I said, I didn't go through the green text on the character development stuff. Some of it could have been incredible. I do not know. I was just not that interested, honestly. I feel this, the campaign was so incredibly rushed all the time that it is disappointing. And when something is in beta, when something is in alpha, you go, oh, it is rushed. It needs more time. Let it cook. But now it is $25 American. And I've seen that a lot of people were having issues knowing what exactly they were buying because it's sold in weird chunks that are different in different ways. I believe that they have helped update that, but it's still not good. This is a full product. This is a release product. This is something that has to be judged on the Pantheon with every other game that has ever come out because that is what it is competing with. And it really, really didn't feel like it was thought through. And it needed more thinking time. It needed just RTS story writing is really hard. But I think I'll leave it at one of the great things that Warcraft 3 did with their storytelling, for instance, is make sure that all the characters and the villains are consistently interacting with themselves and each other in ways that are thought-provoking and makes you understand that they have more complicated relationships, thoughts, feelings, and motivations than it appears on the surface. And that is the reason that when the big bad guy comes at the end, which is Archimonde, all of these former enemies are much more human, in a way. What we call much more human, and thus are able to ally against each other in order to overcome that foe. Because we have seen them do so much interaction, we've learned so much about them because they've taught so much. This campaign never really has the three main factions interact with each other. They just yell at each other and taunt each other. They never speak. They never talk about why they have motivations. They never express what they are after besides it's not multiple people with multiple different goals. It's everybody with the same goal, and that is the pure piece of tension. They never try to work anything out. It's just the Infernals are evil. The Vanguards are the good guys. So the Infernals have to die. And that is storytelling, but it is not something that makes me particularly interested as a person. And it is not the level of storytelling that is particularly monetizable at this point in video game. I'm sorry. You gotta do more than Bowser kidnap Princess Peach. You can't just have very boring like that. And unfortunately, Stormgate did not put in the effort to make it more interesting, making me want to know more about the characters or the villains. And that is a shame. Overall, first half of the campaign, I think overall pretty solid. Second half of the campaign, I felt was much, much weaker. And it fundamentally stems from the fact that the mission design itself is not bad. However, the heroes are overwhelmingly powerful to a point where it stops kind of being fun or interesting to play. Your composition doesn't matter because it's the same heroes every time and they always crush everything. And the characters are not particularly interestingly written. I hate how negative I was there. I don't like being negative. I wanted this to be a success, dude. I wanted it to be so popular, but those are my true feelings. I'm just disappointed. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.